To find the area of a circle, we're going to use the equation, the formula, area is equal to pi r squared. So very similar to our circumference formula, so be careful that you don't confuse the two. Also, notice this time it's the radius that we need. We cannot work with the diameter, we must find the radius first. So if they give you diameter, which looks like they do in our second example, make sure you divide that by 2 first to get the radius of the circle. And make sure you square the radius, not the pi, and make sure you do the exponent first. Make sure you square before you multiply by 3.14. As we discussed in our previous video a few videos ago about circumference, we can also have exact and approximate answers. So exact answers will have the pi symbol, approximate answers will not have the pi symbol. We've replaced it with a number. 3.14 is what we're going to use for pi. So let's go ahead and find the radius of these two circles. So first circle has a radius, find the area of these two circles. The first one has a radius of 8 inches. So to find the area, we're going to do pi times the radius squared, which is 8. Exponents first, so I do 8 squared and get 64. For my exact answer, I do not multiply by pi, I just have the pi symbol right there. And then now that we're working with area, make sure we do inches squared as our label. So 64 pi inches squared is my exact area. The only way to express that exactly is to use the pi symbol, since pi goes on and on and on forever. Any numbers I plug in for pi would be rounded. So to get my approximate answer though, because sometimes we do just want an approximate answer, I'll replace pi with 3.14 and do that multiplication. 64 times 3.14 gets me an area of approximately 200.96 inches squared. So there's my exact again with the pi symbol and my approximate without the pi symbol. Next up we have a circle that has a diameter of 15. Right away we have to make sure we find the radius, which is half of 15. So 7.5 feet is going to be my radius. You cannot work with diameter in your area formula. It won't work. Some people think, well, I'll just find the area and then divide it by 2. Using diameter, that doesn't work at all. So make sure you get the radius right away. So now that I know that, I've got the area is equal to pi times the radius squared. I'll use a calculator to get 7.5 squared. That comes up as 56.25, and then I'll put a pi on the answer. That pi symbol means I'm exact. Some people are like, well, there's a decimal in it, so that's why it's exact or approximate. It has nothing to do with decimals. It has to do with the pi symbol or not the pi symbol. So 56.25 pi feet squared is my exact area. My approximate area is going to be found by replacing the pi symbol with 3.14. So doing that multiplication gets me an approximate area of 176.63 feet squared. Our last two examples have us working backwards with area. So we'll start with the area of a circle and work backwards to either find its radius or its diameter or even its circumference if we want to. So let's go ahead and start with our area formula. They've given us area, so we'll start with pi r squared. If they give you circumference, start with 2 pi r. Remember, those formulas are very similar, so be careful. Replace the area with what they gave you, so I'm going to replace the area with 121 pi. And I'm noticing that that is an exact area. There's a pi symbol in it. Because there's a pi symbol on one side of my equation, I'm allowed to put a pi symbol on the other side of the equation. So pi r squared. If they didn't give me an exact area like the next example, we will have to do something a little bit different. So these are actually easier when they give us the pi symbol. When I divide both sides by pi, it'll just cancel out, leaving behind an equation that says 121 is equal to the radius squared. If I finish this problem by taking the square root of both sides, I get a radius of 11, and checking my units, it looks like I'm working with meters. So my radius is going to be 11 meters in this case. Now, they don't ask us to, but let's suppose they did say find the circumference of the circle as well. Well, now that I know the radius, it's not hard to find out anything else about the circle. So circumference, remember, is 2 times pi times the radius. So if I want my exact circumference, that's 2. We just kind of work around the pi. So 2 times 11 gets us 22 pi. And then meters as my exact circumference. So I know they didn't ask for that, but sometimes they will. And once we know the radius, it's just a matter of using a formula to find out something else about that circle. So one more. Again, they give us area to start with, so I'm going to say area is equal to pi r squared to begin the problem. Plug in the area that they give me, that's 150, and I'm noticing that that is an approximate answer. There's no pi symbol in that problem. So it doesn't have anything to do with decimals or not, it's an approximate answer because there's no pi symbol. Since there's no pi symbol on the left-hand side, there can be no pi symbol on the right-hand side. So I'm going to replace pi with 3.14 and get an approximate answer. So to finish this, square root should be the last thing you do. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3.14 first. And the numbers we're working with are pretty nasty, but as long as we have a calculator, I guess it's not a huge deal. So once I divide, I came up with 47.74 equal to the radius squared. And then to get the radius by itself, I'll take the square root of both sides. And I come up with approximately about 6.91 feet for my radius. Now before you circle or answer and move on to the next problem, just go back and double check what they asked you for, because they do try to get you with these problems. And look, they would have got us. They asked for the diameter, not the radius. Once we know the radius, though, it's just a matter of doubling it. But just be careful. Make sure you read the question carefully and see what they're asking for. So doubling the radius gets me a diameter of approximately 13.82 feet.